This is Tiger Ascari. Thanks for coming back. I just wanted to make a quick video about everything that's happening in Minnesota. And just kind of my take on it. I often think about a quote that evil only persists when good men stand by and do nothing. And Don Lemon going into that church and protesting in the way that he did during the time of worship was absolutely unacceptable. I would identify as a Christian conservative. I mean, I'm a registered Republican, but I just can't vote for my local representative, Brian Mast, and that deserves a whole video. But I think back to when Obama's Attorney General, Eric Holder, he was having a speech. And then in the speech, he says, if Republicans go low, we kick them. And Democrats operate on this game of left and right is good and evil. There's a good team and a bad team. When I was younger, that's how I always viewed kind of life. I like Power Rangers, and I always figured, there's good guys and bad guys. So growing up as a kid, I always viewed, Republicans are the bad guys, and then Democrats are the good guys because they care about people. They care. But now I don't think that's the case anymore. I think these people will pull any lever and push any button in order to get their way. And then if you criticize them in any way, shape, or form, then you are a racist, sexist, bigot, homophobe, transphobe, Islamophobe, every ist and obe and ism you could imagine. That's what you are if you stand in their way. And Republicans for the longest time have always kind of, when you would levy that kind of insult against them, the first thing they would do is, no, I'm not racist, I'm not this, that, and the third. And then now you're operating in their frame. But now young people, that's why it really give rise to, the Nick Fuenteses of the world. Because now young people are just like, I don't care. And honestly, I'm not that young, but I don't care either. If this is what I believe in, then I'm going to believe in it unapologetically. Because we're dealing with leftists, Democrats, progressives, whatever you want to call them. We're dealing with people that do not view your rights as rights. Where if something happens to you, I defend it. And then if something happens to me, you defend it. They don't operate that way. If something happens to you, they will laugh. If something happens to them, you did it. And since you did it, they can do anything they can against you. I mean, look at how they treated the shooting of Charlie Kirk. Look, there were, I remember, there were people that cheered for it, that didn't really, that they leveled all these criticisms at him after the fact, and he literally died doing what he always advocated for, and that's having freedom of speech and having conversations before things got too out of hand. But we're dealing with people that don't want to have conversations. They just want to have their way. They want to use our country as an economic zone to impose their will upon everybody else, including the globe. They want to tax you, so then they can take that tax revenue to fund their massive bureaucracy. And then if you donate $100 or they tax you $100, then maybe by the time it actually gets to where it needs to go, it's $10. And it's just been chewed up by bureaucracies and middle managers and these liberal white women with their degree in gender studies. That's some middle manager in some office somewhere doing busy paperwork. Yeah, that's what's going to happen to it. That's what's going to happen to that $100. And they're very determined. They are very determined. They're very determined to fight you. because they think that they don't just disagree with you, they view you as evil. They view us as evil. You know, my parents are immigrants. They're Jamaican. They came to this country for a better life, and they did it the right way. They did it the right way. They stayed out of trouble. They followed the law, and they made a better life for themselves. Now, you know, we're dealing with people that says no one is illegal on stolen land. Okay, no one's illegal on stolen land. You know, silence is violence. If you're not standing with us and you're against us, it's actual madness. I didn't truly believe in Trump derangement syndrome or what have you, but now I do. It's like they're locked in this mind frame that they just can't escape and have reasonable disagreements. Like they cannot do it. And I think we are on the precipice of true tyranny if their side isn't quelled. And and here's what I predict, and I really mean this. If the left isn't adequately stopped in what they're doing, the tyrant isn't going to come from the left. The tyrant is going to come from the right. And all of their accusations of fascism against the right are going to come true. I bet you there are some white people out here who never had any type of racial animosity towards other people in their life until they started getting insulted and subjugated and humiliated and treated differently. Now, yeah, they don't like black people now or brown people. They don't. I mean, can you blame them? So that's why I believe not 2026, 2028, you're going to see white people collectivize racially. And maybe will that be that some tyrant will rise up and you know, sweet talk their way into the White House? I don't know. But I think a true fascist tyrant will emerge, and it wasn't Donald Trump. This person will emerge, and those leftists are going to be begging for Trump, or a Trump, or just a regular Republican. Once that's out, once you get to that point, you don't go back. The Roman Empire didn't go back to the Republic; it became the Empire, and then it died an empire. It was born a republic, died an empire. And it became an empire because the people were, you know, they were really sick and tired of just a bunch of fat, rich senators just taking every little advantage that they could. And I think we're going to get to that point. I truly believe it. And I don't want that to happen. You know, I still believe in the Republic. I still believe in the Constitution, the Bill of Rights. But if we're not willing to defend those things, then I believe that someone is going to rise up and try to change things in their own image. And when that happens, the people will be so upset that they will let them do it. And they will cheer when they do it. This won't come from the left because the left, they like collective misery. You know, they you look at California. It's like at some point, it's a lot of people want to blame the politicians, but at some point you got to go, yo, the people that voted for it, they wanted it. They wanted that. So we got to change the people's minds, not the politicians, because they're only doing what they're voted for and what their donors want them to do. But the people on the ground, the voters, there's something fundamentally just different from Americans, from the founders to now, that they don't believe in our founding documents and our founding principles anymore. They don't believe in it. They believe in something else, and they want those founding principles to be just swept under the rug. And if you get in their way, then they could do anything they want to you. Because again, they're the righteous ones. They believe that they're the righteous ones, and you're the evil one. So that's all I have to say. I'm going to try to start uploading regularly, especially with shorts. I want to get the live stream going, but my whole setup here is like just kind of just garbage right now. The next couple of months, I'll be more ready for it. But that's all I got for y'all right now. Until next time.